again, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Wrestling Huddle. I'm Review Sports Editor Mike Brown, joined by the guru of grappling, Bob Steer. Bob, this is what we talked about all year. It's Sectional Wrestling Week. The postseason begins this week. There's so much potential for a lot of our area teams, and I'm sure you're excited about it too.
Very excited. This is my favorite time of year. These last 3 weeks of the wrestling season, sectional, district, and state. It's really, wrestling, it does have the team component to it, and we'll talk a little bit about the team component to it, but now is when it really becomes an individual sport. And it truly is at its core, but now is when it really becomes, just you're focused on, and even the coaches, you're really focused just on getting each individual kid through to the next level. You're just trying to get as many out of sectionals as possible, and get them as high a placement as possible for better seating in district. But now it's like Christmas.
You get an extra spring in the step in a week like this. You really do. Yep. Well, I tell you what, when I look at the teams in the West Branch sectional on Friday and Saturday, that's probably one of the best lineups from top to bottom I've ever seen. I really think, and you and I were talking about this off camera, that this sectional has gone from being one of the weakest to feed the district tournament to probably the best, if not the second best, or maybe the best. When you look at the teams, talk about some of the top teams there.
Oh, I think it's the best. Yeah. And I know the St. Vincent St. Mary people might argue that because they have two top 10 ranked teams. Right. But, in my opinion, you have to look beyond just the top two teams because the top four kids from each weight make it out. Right. And when you look at the West Branch sectional, you just start naming the teams. You got Canfield at the top, and Crestwood, and West Branch, and Marlington, and Alliance. Howland's always got some good kids.
And Poland's up and coming.
Southeast is strong. Right. Poland's up and coming. Yeah. So, the list just goes on of quality teams. And I apologize if I missed any teams in there. But just a tremendously deep sectional
tournament. It really
tournament.
is. The downside about it is, unlike years ago, you might have had a few guys who got out who in other districts or sectionals wouldn't have got out. There may be good wrestlers who may not get out of this sectional. It's that good.
There are definitely some weights where there are district quality wrestlers that will not make it to districts. And I'm talking about kids that could even potentially place a district that might not make it out of the sectional.
Yeah. Well, let's break it down a little bit. Let's take a look at some of the individual. Talk about some of the better weight classes, Bob.
Well, I'll tell you, the best weight class, no question about it, is going to be 160. Okay. And it's even with the local flavor. 3 of the top 4 guys are local. You got Tony Rupert from Marlington.
Oh, yeah.
Who we've talked about Tony throughout the year. Sure. Of course, Mason Hughes, both of those two. Mason Hughes from West Branch. Yeah. Both of those two are returning state qualifiers. And then, of course, you have Audie from Poland. Right. Anthony Audie, I think. And Cade Byland from Salem.
Oh, my goodness.
Who has, I think he beat Rupert earlier in the year, and he's gone toe-to-toe with Hughes. Those 4 legitimately could be the 4 that go to state.
That's right.
Those 4 coming out of this sectional could very well be the 4 coming out of district the following week. So just an absolutely loaded weight. And when you look at it, depending on, and we're still waiting to hear if Christian Jackson's back at 152. But if he's back at 152, that might bump a Deuce Johnson or a Marcus Davis up to 160. So that's the kind of quality kid that might get left out. Yeah. That would make it in any other weight class any other year for the most part. Yeah. So it really is a crazy weight to look at, but it's going to be fun. Yeah. Now, obviously, that's the strongest weight. Do you see a couple other ones? They're all good, but do you see a couple other ones that are going to be really competitive? Well, 120. Again, just looking from a local flavor, the top 3 guys in 120, in my opinion, are all local kids. You got Corey Postova from Southeast, Erica Gerbach from Marlington, and Travis Pigeon from West Branch. Okay. 3 quality wrestlers. And, like I say, those really are the top 3 in that weight. So I think whoever has the 1 seed there, I'm not sure who it will be based on seeding criteria, but obviously the other 2 are going to have to face each other in the semis. Right. And it's going to make for a real exciting semifinal match, and then whoever survives that, it's going to make for a fantastic finals, I think. Sure. 126 is going to be a real top heavyweight. You've got 2 returning state placers. Neither are local, but Giorgio Poulos and Corey Simpson from Fields. Right. So, that's going to be fun to watch. And just jumping up to 106 even. I think Alex Schoffer should be in the finals if everything, barring an upset. I think you should see Alex Schoffer against the fantastic freshman from Canfield, Matthew Cardello.
Yeah.
That's a match we were hoping to see at EOWL, but because some things happened, it didn't play out. Yeah. And that'll be really interesting. Again, barring an upset, those two should have a finals match, and it'll be fun to watch.
You know what's amazing, and getting back to that, Bob, is it's really surprising to see a senior at 106 that Alex Schoffer is. I mean, usually that's reserved for underclassmen who move up, but Alex Schoffer's been there all 4 years, and do you think that's an advantage? He has that experience, and here's a guy with the senior strength, and he's still at 106.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely that works to his advantage. What works to Al's disadvantage, and I've talked about this around West Branch here for a long time, is his primary sport is soccer. Yeah. Whereas a lot of these smaller guys, they're year-round wrestlers. Okay. So that is a disadvantage to Alex, but being a senior definitely, I think, will be a benefit to him, and will hopefully give him the edge that he needs. But it's going to be interesting because Cardello is one of those year-round wrestlers that's been wrestling forever. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how Schoffer, how he matches up against the Cardello type kid. Any
weight classes that we haven't talked about yet that you want to make sure that we note in this telecast?
Yeah, I think, again, I just like to keep it the local flavor. I think 45, Spencer Nagy's going to be the favorite. Oh, yeah. I think a heavy favorite, honestly, but you've also got Hunter McPeak from Southeast in there, and Evan Betts from Arlington is another one that I think could make it out, and that's top 4. Let me just take a quick look here, but... Because heavyweight, obviously we have the potential showdown of Sean Barnes and Ian Sharp.
Right, and then you have the great Howland heavyweight who beat Sharp at EOWL, correct?
Right, and that was a very competitive, could have gone either way type of match. So between Bell, Sharp, and Barnes, there's going to be some good matches.
And I know Crestwood usually has some good upper weight wrestlers too, so I'm sure they probably have a pretty good heavyweight in there too. That'll be a good weight class as well.
Yep, absolutely. So I think those are the weights that have the most local flavor. Every weight I look at, though, is just going to be super competitive. I mean, 132 and 138 is going to be interesting because 138, C.J. Frost from Canfield has wrestled all year. Yeah. He's a returning state qualifier. Everyone has him projected dropping to 32. Okay. So if he drops to 32, you're going to have you're going to have Frost there. You're going to have the fantastic Bailey kid from Southeast, Brett Bailey. You're going to have Brennan Joseph from Arlington. Wow. And you've got the really good freshman from West Branch, Dylan Miller. Okay. I think he's definitely far behind those guys, with Joseph being a returning qualifier. Right, and Frost. Yeah. But if Frost stays at 38, all of a sudden you've got him as a returning qualifier. You've got Roble from Crestwood as a returning qualifier, and you've got Matt Steer from West Branch. Right. Yep. So I think whatever weight Frost goes is going to make that weight that much tougher. Yeah. So the rosters are already in. We just haven't seen them yet, so we don't know where some of these guys are. And like we say, Christian Jackson, we really hope he's back. And he'll be a big factor.
Your best guys there. Yep.
He'll be a big factor at 152 if he's in there. Yeah. But like I say, somebody knows where they're at. We just don't yet. So we're waiting to find out like everyone else.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of times I've had coaches tell me sometimes it comes down to the draw, especially when everybody's so good in every weight class. It comes down to what kind of matchup you get early. Sometimes you can get, if you get a little bit easier one early, you get those jitters out of the way, then you're good to go. And but it's Mike Helm, when he was the coach at West Branch, he used to tell me that all the time. A lot of times it comes down to the luck of the draw. You have to be good, but then it comes down to the luck of the draw.
Absolutely.
And it really can set you up for down the road to district and things like that. So, getting back to the West Branch sectional, it should be a fun 2 days, Bob. Action gets underway Friday at 6 o'clock. Then it'll resume Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. And then the final is going to be at 5 o'clock on Saturday. So it really should be a fun weekend. We're looking forward to it. The top 4 finishers in each weight class advance to the Alliance District next week. And, boy, that'll be a great district next week, too.
Absolutely.
But we'll take that when it comes. It should be an exciting weekend for the sectional. For Bob Steer, this is Mike Brown, and we'll see you on the mat.